Thank you for being here today. I want to begin with a simple truth, one that we often forget when life gets heavy. Struggle is not the enemy. It's the teacher. Every one of us faces challenges, some loud and public, others silent and deeply personal. But what if I told you that the very struggle you're facing today could become the foundation of your strength tomorrow? You see, life doesn't always go according to plan. It tests us, pushes us, sometimes even breaks us down. But it's in those moments, when we feel like we're at our lowest, that something powerful begins to grow. Strength, resilience, character. Today I want to talk about how we can stop running from the struggle and instead learn how to rise because of it. Because the truth is, your story isn't over. It's just getting stronger. You become what you think about most. Every single day, whether we realize it or not, we're planting seeds in the garden of our minds. These seeds are our thoughts, repeated ideas, internal beliefs, quiet conversations we have with ourselves. And just like seeds in soil, these thoughts grow into something real. If the thoughts are empowering, they bloom into courage, discipline, and hope. But if they're rooted in fear, doubt, or self-pity, they can grow into hesitation, regret, and limitation. Now think about this. How often do we allow struggle to dominate our thoughts? When things go wrong, our minds can quickly spiral. We begin to dwell, not just on the situation, but on worst-case scenarios. We tell ourselves stories that start with, "I can't," "I'll never," or "Why me?" And the more we repeat these narratives, the more they begin to shape how we see ourselves. The struggle becomes an identity rather than an experience. But here's the shift that changes everything. Instead of focusing on the pain, we must start focusing on the possibility. When you're going through something difficult, ask yourself not just, "Why is this happening to me?" but, "What can I learn from this?" The brain is a powerful tool. If you keep feeding it defeat, it will look for ways to prove you right. But if you feed it purpose and direction, it will begin to seek solutions even in the darkest moments. This isn't about ignoring reality. Struggles are real. Pain is real. But we must also remember, so is the power to change. And that change begins in the mind. Think about the people who've achieved remarkable things. Not just those who succeeded, but those who endured. When you study their stories, you don't just see talent. You see mindset. You see a pattern of thinking that refuses to give up, no matter the odds. Your thoughts are the first building blocks of your strength. They either reinforce the struggle or build a bridge to something better. So when you're tired, when you're hurt, when you're uncertain, pause and ask, "What am I thinking about right now?" If the answer is filled with doubt or fear, gently shift it. Focus on what's still possible. Focus on what you still can do. And keep coming back to that. It's not easy. Retraining your mind is one of the hardest things you ever do, but it's also one of the most powerful, because once your mind starts aligning with strength instead of struggle, your actions follow. You start taking different steps, making better choices, moving with a sense of belief rather than hesitation. And the beautiful thing is, you don't have to be perfect. You don't need to think positive every second of the day. All you need is awareness. Begin to notice your thoughts. Catch the ones that are holding you back. And then, little by little, replace them with thoughts that push you forward. Because at the end of the day, your mind is always working. The only question is, what is it working on? Make sure it's building the strength you need, not reinforcing the struggle you're trying to escape. Adversity is a natural part of progress. It's easy to believe that struggle means something has gone wrong, that if we're facing resistance, failure, or hardship, we must have taken a wrong turn somewhere. But the truth is quite the opposite. Adversity isn't a detour on the path to success. It is the path. Look closely at any person who's achieved anything worthwhile, whether in business, art, science, or personal growth, and you'll find adversity in their story. You'll find moments when they were rejected, overlooked, misunderstood, or even laughed at. You'll find times when everything they tried seemed to fail, yet somehow, through all of it, they kept going. not because it was easy, but because they understood a powerful truth. Progress is born from pressure. Think of it like this. Just as muscles only grow after they've been challenged, stretched, and even torn slightly during a workout, our inner strength only grows when it's tested. You don't develop resilience in calm, perfect conditions. You develop it in the middle of chaos, when things feel uncertain, and yet you choose to keep moving forward anyway. We often want growth to feel smooth. We want to improve without discomfort, succeed without sacrifice, evolve without tension. But nothing real or lasting is built that way. Nature itself teaches us this lesson. A seed must break apart before it becomes a tree. A caterpillar has to dissolve into nothing before it can emerge as a butterfly. Growth, by its very nature, demands struggle. So instead of fearing adversity, we need to begin to reframe it. What if the setback isn't the end, but the beginning of something greater? What if that closed door is actually redirecting you to something more aligned with who you're becoming? What if the challenge you're facing is sharpening your skills, your mindset, your vision, so that when the opportunity does arrive, this perspective doesn't eliminate the pain, but it gives the pain a purpose, and purpose changes everything. When you believe your struggle is leading somewhere meaningful, you become more patient with the process. You stop resisting the storm and start learning how to navigate through it. There's another reason adversity is so important. It reveals what you're made of. It strips away pretense. It shows you where you've been depending on shortcuts or where you've underestimated your own capacity. It's in the hard times that we discover our character, our limits, and most importantly, our potential to go beyond them. And that's why so many people who have endured great hardship often emerge with a deeper sense of wisdom and peace. They've been through the fire and realized they're still standing. That knowledge becomes a quiet kind of confidence, a strength that doesn't need to shout, but speaks clearly in every step forward. So the next time you find yourself in the middle of a hard season, don't rush to escape it. Ask yourself, what is this moment trying to teach me? How can I grow from this? And remember, even if you can't see the outcome yet, trust that adversity is not wasted. Every challenge you overcome becomes part of the foundation that supports your future. Progress doesn't avoid adversity, it depends on it. The key is not to wish the struggle away, but to let it shape you into someone stronger, wiser, and more prepared for the road ahead. Control your attitude, control your outcome. There's a powerful truth that often gets overlooked when we're in the middle of a struggle. While we can't always control what happens to us, we can always control how we respond. And that response, our attitude, is what shapes the outcome more than anything else. Life is unpredictable. Things happen that we never saw coming. Plans fall apart. People disappoint us. Doors close without warning. But in every situation, no matter how difficult, there is one thing that remains completely within our control, our mindset. The attitude we choose in the face of adversity becomes the lens through which we experience life, and that lens can either magnify the pain or reveal the possibility. When we face challenges with a defeated mindset, telling ourselves that it's over, that we've lost, that there's no way out, we're already halfway to giving up. But when we face those same challenges with a determined, hopeful attitude, saying to ourselves, I don't know how yet, but I will find a way, we open the door to creative solutions, unexpected strength, and even new opportunities that weren't visible before. Your attitude is the energy you bring to the situation. It's the signal you send out to the world and, more importantly, to yourself. A positive, grounded attitude doesn't mean ignoring reality or pretending everything is fine. It means choosing to look for the lesson instead of only seeing the loss. It means asking, what can I do with what I have right now, instead of waiting for perfect conditions that may never come. And here's something important to understand. Attitude isn't a fixed trait. It's a habit. It's a choice you make moment by moment, especially when things get hard. Just like training a muscle, the more you practice controlling your attitude, the stronger it becomes. You start noticing the shift in how you carry yourself, how you speak, how you handle failure. You stop reacting impulsively, and you begin responding intentionally. We've all met people who have gone through unimaginable circumstances, loss, failure, illness, and yet they walk with a kind of quiet strength. You can feel it. It's not that they avoided struggle. It's that they chose to rise in spite of it. That mindset doesn't just happen. It's cultivated step by step by choosing to see life not as something that happens to you, but something that can happen for you if you allow it. Now, let's be honest. It's not always easy to stay positive when life feels like it's falling apart. There will be days when you're tired, when nothing seems to be going right, and when the last thing you want to do is think positive. And that's okay. This isn't about being cheerful all the time. It's about being resilient. It's about feeling the weight of the moment and still choosing not to be defined by it. Your attitude becomes your anchor. It holds you steady when everything else feels uncertain. And over time, people start to notice. Opportunities open up. Relationships deepen. Even your own self-respect grows because you begin to see what you're truly capable of. So the next time you're in the middle of a struggle, pause for a moment, take a breath, and remind yourself, this situation doesn't control me. My response does. Then choose an attitude that moves you forward, even if it's only by an inch. Because inch by inch, with the right mindset, you'll eventually cover miles you once thought impossible. The outcome is never just about what happens. It's about what you decide to do with what happens. And that starts always with the attitude you choose. The power of purpose. When you're going through something hard, something that shakes you to your core, it's easy to feel lost, like you're drifting, like nothing makes sense. And in those moments, more than anything else, what we need is purpose. Purpose is more than just a goal. It's more than success or status or ticking boxes off a checklist. Purpose is your why. It's the deeper reason behind your actions. It's what gives struggle meaning. Without it, we're just enduring pain for the sake of pain. But when we connect our struggles to a greater purpose, everything changes. Suddenly, the suffering isn't pointless. It becomes part of the process. Think of it this way. Two people can go through the exact same hardship, but respond in totally different ways. One might break down and give up. The other might fight through it and come out stronger. The difference often comes down to purpose. When you know why you're doing something, when you have a reason bigger than the obstacle, you're far more likely to push through the discomfort, stay focused, and stay hopeful. Purpose acts like a compass. It doesn't eliminate the storms of life, but it gives you direction through them, and that direction helps you move even when the path isn't clear. When you're tired, purpose gives you strength. When you're discouraged, purpose reminds you why you started. And when you feel like quitting, purpose whispers, not yet. You're not done. You don't have to know exactly where you'll end up, but you do need something to move toward. Maybe your purpose is to set an example for your kids. Maybe it's to heal from your past and help others do the same. Maybe it's to create something beautiful out of something broken. Whatever it is, let it guide you. Let it be your fuel when motivation fades. Purpose doesn't have to be grand or world-changing. It just has to be meaningful to you. And often it's born from the very pain you're trying to escape. Some of the most powerful purposes are rooted in struggle. People who've battled depression and now help others through it. Survivors who turn their experience into advocacy. Artists who turn heartbreak into music that heals millions. These people didn't wait until everything was perfect to find their purpose. They found it in the imperfection. But here's the thing. You don't always find purpose right away. Sometimes it's not until you've been through something that you realize what it was preparing you for. And that's okay. You don't have to force it. Just stay open, stay curious. Ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? How can I use this for something greater? When you start seeing your struggle as part of your purpose, you take back your power. You stop seeing yourself as a victim and start seeing yourself as someone on a mission. And that mindset alone can change the entire trajectory of your life. So if you're walking through something difficult right now, know this. You're not just surviving, you're becoming. There is purpose in your path, even if you can't see it yet. Keep showing up. Keep listening to that quiet inner voice that says, there's more for me, because there is. Let your purpose pull you forward, one step at a time, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, because when your struggle is connected to something meaningful, it doesn't just make you stronger. It makes you unstoppable. Success leaves clues. Success might look mysterious from the outside. We often see people who seem to have it all figured out, those who overcame incredible odds, built something meaningful, and now stand strong. It's easy to assume they were lucky, gifted, or simply built differently, but the truth is far more encouraging. Success leaves clues, and if we pay attention, we can follow those clues, adapt them to our journey, and begin to transform our own struggles into strength. Every person who's turned their life around, built something impactful, or risen above hardship has done so through a series of decisions, habits, and beliefs. They've left behind a blueprint, not always in books or speeches, but in the way they lived, the way they thought, and the way they kept showing up even when it was hard. And the best part? Many of these people started exactly where you are, confused, uncertain, hurt, or lost. They didn't have a clear map or perfect guidance. They just had a desire to grow, a willingness to learn, and the courage to try again, even after failing. Over time, they learned what worked and what didn't. They studied their own mistakes. They paid attention to mentors. They watched others who had walked similar roads. And little by little, they gathered tools, clues that help them create something better. If you're struggling right now, know this. You don't have to figure it all out alone. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. The path you're on has been walked before, not in exactly the same way, but close enough that there's wisdom you can borrow. Whether it's emotional healing, financial recovery, creative success, or personal growth, someone, somewhere, has faced something like and they've made it through. They've left behind stories, strategies, lessons, and examples that can light your path forward. So how do we begin to follow those clues? First, we listen. We seek out stories, not just of success, but of struggle that led to success. Pay attention to what people did when they were in the valley. How did they think? What choices did they make? What mindset shifts helped them endure? You'll start noticing patterns. You'll hear about people who stopped waiting for motivation and instead created habits. People who let go of blame and took ownership. People who made one small decision each day that slowly added up to massive change. Second, we stay teachable. One of the biggest blocks to growth is thinking we already know enough. But when you adopt a learner's mindset, when you stay humble and open, you start to see solutions in unexpected places. A podcast might offer a breakthrough idea. A stranger's comment might spark a new direction. A book you read years ago might suddenly feel brand new. The clues are all around us, but we can only see them when we're willing to look with fresh eyes. Third, we apply what we learn. This is where most people stop. It's easy to feel inspired for a moment and then go back to old patterns. But success doesn't come from inspiration alone. It comes from implementation. When you hear a strategy that speaks to you, test it. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't overthink it. Just begin. The people who rise out of struggle are the ones who act on what they've learned, even before they feel ready. Fourth, we stay consistent. Almost every success story you hear, from athletes to entrepreneurs to everyday heroes, has a common theme: consistency over time. Not perfection, not magic, just simple, repeated effort. They kept showing up, they kept learning, they kept going, and eventually all those small, faithful steps added up to something extraordinary. Lastly, we give back. One of the most beautiful clues left by those who've overcome adversity is their willingness to reach behind and help others. They don't just rise and move on. They share their journey. They become mentors, writers, speakers, or simply encouragers to those still climbing. And when you start doing the same, when you begin using your pain to lift someone else, you realize how far you've come. That's when your struggle truly becomes your strength. Success, in any form, is not an accident. It's the result of small, intentional decisions made day after day, even when no one's watching. And while every journey is different, the principles that guide success are universal. You don't have to guess. You don't have to walk in the dark. The clues are there, left by people who've turned heartbreak into healing, failure into foundation, and struggle into strength. So the next time you feel stuck, look around. Look for the people who've walked a similar path. Read their stories. Study their habits. Learn from their mindset. And most importantly, remember, you are just as capable as they are. You are not too far behind. You are not too broken. You are simply in a chapter where learning comes before the breakthrough. And that's okay, because one day you will be the one leaving the clues for someone else who needs them.